Hello, everybody. Welcome to Beyond BMR. I am your host, Bigfoot, Michigan Rob. This is where I say, joining me in Studio B, my co-host, Tex. Well, Tex is under the weather. He told me not too long ago he's got a bad migraine, can't see straight. So, everybody, give Tex a warm prayer, if you will, to get over that migraine, because I know they suck. Joining me today from the Cryptid and Paranormal Kingdom is Carlito Castro. Beyond BMR goes beyond the mysteries of the world. We take you on a deep dive into all the realms of the rabbit holes that exist today, from Bigfoot to Dogman, UFOs to aliens, from time travel to the paranormal. How do all these phenomena come together? If this is your first time here, please subscribe to Bigfoot Michigan Rob, found on YouTube. You can also subscribe to Texas Front Porch, The Blondes, The Booze, Paranormal Podcast. You can find us on Subspace Radio, iHeartRadio, and KPNL Radio. Thank you to the lovely Aunt Selene, now in Texas. Thanks to Aunt Selene, KPNL Radio. The Super Chat's open. It's a great way to help support what I do around here. Thank you for that. And also, you can find my book, Bigfoot Michigan Rob Presents True Cryptid Encounters. You can find that on Amazon. Also, throughout the week, as you know, we've got Texas Front Porch. He's on at 9 o'clock in the East with the lovely Brandy. Tuesdays is Van Buren Variety. He comes on at 8 o'clock in the East. Beyond BMR, he comes on at 9 o'clock in the East. That's me. Wednesdays is Jason McLean Questions Everything. He's back at 8 o'clock in the East. The Diva Dimension, found in Texas Front Porch, is Wednesday nights at 10 in the East. Thursdays, brunch with Bigfoot, Michigan Rob, and the lovely Krista, 1 o'clock in the East. Thursday night is the Blondes, the Booze, the Paranormal Podcast. You can find Brandy and Krista, 9 in the East. You want more woo with the booze, you got the Blondes and the Booze and Woo, 9 o'clock in the East. Saturdays, Tex and Danielle Diva, 3 o'clock in the East. They do true crime called Infamous Minds. Check them out on Saturday. And don't forget the lovely Jessica Jones. You can find her on Spaced Out Radio, Saturday and Sunday, 10 in the East. She is the Cryptid Huntress, and she also has 2 shows going on throughout the week. Thank you for that. I hope you all can hear me. I haven't been able to do a sound check. I see everybody pouring on in here. We've got Fast Tammy. Hey, Fast Tammy. Larry Meisner, Glenn Dannison, Chiro, Richard Elmore, Griff, Scott Morian, Rat Sass, Fifth Light Bandit, Danny Staten, Sly Dog, Paranormal Pixie Laura, Freaky Geek, Richard Elmore, Chiro Sounds, The Dog Man, UK Man, Henry. Who else? Scrolling down. Poncho Zorch, thanks for coming on in. Radio Vault, thanks for coming in. You know how it goes when you do something live, right? Tex gave me a text not too long ago. He's got the migraine going on, and hey, things do happen. And right after Tex called me, about 3 minutes later, my guest, Carlito Castro, he's going to be here. He is caught in traffic, so we're going to have maybe a 10-minute delay before we get Carlito to talk about his strange encounters with cryptids, the paranormal, and UFOs. So I'm really looking forward to it. Hey, Bobby. So you just got me for about 10 minutes doing the solo thing, but I'm not scared to do the solo thing, right? So, but we'll just I'll hang out before the guest gets here, and I do want to thank everybody that has purchased my book. And you guys know it's Bigfoot Michigan Rob Presents True Cryptid Encounters, Book 1. There it is. There's the cover. Look at that cover. Look at that detail. And I got to tell you, I didn't do that alone. I didn't do any of the cover. That's I have to give credit to Jason McLean for putting together a great cover for me. Again, shout out to Jason. Jason also helped out with helping me get that downloaded on Amazon and did a little bit of editing for me as well. So big shout out to Jason for that. I do appreciate that. So I was trying to think, everybody, what's good old BMR going to do to waste some time here before our guest arrives? And about 2 months ago, my neighbor, he asked me what I do. I told him I have a podcast on YouTube. I gave him, the channel, and lo and behold, my neighbor is kind of into the creepy and the strange, and he's been doing. He was down at the creek, many of you may or may not know. I've got um there's a big creek. I live in like a horseshoe. Not it's my city is in a horseshoe, and we have this creepy creek that surrounds us. So he was out several months ago, and he was because you can spear like carp. There's a nice run of carp. Now, whether he eats carp or not, I'm unsure of that. I for one don't eat carp, okay? But he likes to spear them, and he owns a market and he sells his carp at his market. So several weeks ago, he pops over. I was out in the backyard. I was actually barbecuing whatever I had barbecuing. Hey, Brandy, Spiritual Odyssey, they're all coming on in. So we're talking, and he says, "Hey, Rob, So after I told him about my show, he came over with his phone. He showed me a picture of these enormous dog-like tracks that he found in our creek. Hey, Philip Miller, Griff. So I'm looking at these. I said, "Where'd you get this picture at?" You guys, it was an oversized dog. Now there's no wolves where I live. I told you guys many times on the show that we've got some wild dogs that run about the area. Where they come from, I don't know. A bunch of we have stray dogs where I live, and we also have stray cats where I live. So I'm looking at this. I'm blowing up this picture on his phone, and I couldn't get any scale on this print. So I asked my neighbor. His name's Nick. I go, Nick, I really can't tell how big this is. I mean, this could be a dog or anything. I said, roughly how big did you measure it? He goes, well, Rob, it had to have been at least 6 inches long, maybe 3.5, 4 inches wide. And you can tell it was definitely a canine print. I said, that's either one enormous dog or we've got something else lurking about in our neighborhood. Now, this picture he took, again, this creek, you guys, it stretches for miles. When I say I live in a horseshoe, it is a horseshoe, but it covers 5, 6, 7 miles. It extends for quite the distance. And in fact, this print that he showed me was maybe a 20-minute hike from where I live down the creek. So I'm going to get together with him. We're going to go back to that area in hopes that I find some evidence or maybe some more tracks. So he's going to take me to that location. So I thought that was cool. And the funny thing is, how we all are apprehensive about telling people, I don't have a problem telling people that I have a podcast on YouTube and I discuss, werewolf, dogman, and so on. And but when I told this guy about the podcast, he goes, "Wow, Rob, I thought I was the only one that was into this stuff." And lo and behold, it's my neighbor. So he's kind of geeked about it. He's a new subscriber to the show. And so we're gonna go check it out. And I'm gonna report back to you guys after the investigation to see if I can find any evidence or uncover something. So I'm a little bit geeked about right in my old neighborhood here. I could have some oversized canine. I mean, I'm not saying it's a dog, man, you guys. It could just be a big, big dog, right? But it's pretty. I find it to be cool. I'm pretty excited about that. As a lot of you know, I had knee surgery. I had something. My knee got screwed up. Now it's pretty much 90%, and I can run if I have to run. Of course, good old Rob ain't gonna outrun a dog, man. But I'm geeked about that, and I'll keep you guys all posted on that. So yeah, it's for those of you just coming on in, my guest Carlito Castro, he's gonna be a few minutes late. He's caught in traffic. I think he lives in Houston, and he's in his car right now, so he will be here. And And so, yeah, so I'm looking to kill a little time here for you guys. Thanks for everybody for coming in. Yeah, yeah, right. Dogman UK Wow Rob, he says. And yeah, I'm pretty excited about that because I think, and why would I say this? I tell everybody that these cryptids can be found pretty much anywhere where you live. As long as you got water, as long as you got woods, you have the potential for cryptids. And but I thought, no, not me, not around where I live. I mean, yeah, I saw a Bigfoot, but that was 100 miles north of here. But again, I'm just thinking like all of us think can't be in our backyard because I do live in the city, you guys. I mean, I live in a subdivision. The city where I live, it's you've got your Walmart, you got your Tim Hortons, you've got McDonald's. So it's a place where you wouldn't normally think or expect a cryptid. Yet I do preach about this stuff that, hey, you can find these cryptids anywhere. And the stories and the guests that I have on have them right in their backyards too. So again, I'm really excited about that. Hi, overbuilt automotive, Big Island Beach. You're new. Thanks for joining. Aloha, Big Island Beach. Must be from the Big Island. I see Brandy hanging out. Hey, Brandy, what's going on this evening? Um, so yeah, so I'm excited. We're gonna get together maybe in a couple weeks and get that started because I want to definitely check this out for you guys. Rabbit homesteading. I do see a lot of newer folks in here. Thanks for coming on in. Don't forget, everybody, turn on the alert bell. Make sure you're subscribed because, again, I get it every day. Somebody sends me an email. Hey, I missed the live show. Well, did you have the alert bell on? No, I didn't. Or I did have it on and it was turned off. So yeah, I mean, make sure the alert bells are on. Make sure you're all subscribed up because I've lost a couple channels that I subscribe to have been shut off for whatever the reason. And so yeah, I got my phone ringing here. I'm gonna see who this is. I got Carlito. He's home. He's getting ready to set up. So Carlito will be here in a couple minutes, and so on. So cool with that. He'll be joining us shortly. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. And if anybody has an encounter story that they like me to read, if you wanted to be anonymous, send it to beyondbmr at gmail.com. I'd be happy to read it over and put it on a video format because I do those. I drop one video a week, usually Friday or Saturday. It's usually a subscriber. It's usually a subscriber or an email that I put together. There's a lot of you know that already, and that's kind of like a lot of thanks, Pancho, for that awesome super chat. I would tell you a woo story, but Carlito will be joining us, and I tend to be long winded with my stories, so we're gonna wait on that one, Pancho. But I do appreciate the super chat. A great way to help support the show. I do appreciate that. Thank you ever so much for that. But I'm sure, Pancho, though, that I'll have a woo story when I get back on this investigation with my neighbor, because I'm really looking forward to that. Because I haven't really been out in the woods but 3 times this entire summer. We've had a summer here, you guys. It's been nothing but rain, nothing but rain. It's been hot. It's been cold. My poor garden has suffered. I finally got some plants coming through now, and I'm getting ready just to pull everything out because, it's football season. The garden should be done by now, right? But that's the crazy weather we've had here in Michigan. So I am excited about that. And of course, don't forget, again, just killing a little time for Carlito gets here. The book can be found on Amazon. It's doing pretty good, I guess. I don't know. First time I published a book. Find it on Amazon. Bigfoot Michigan Rob presents true cryptid encounters. And again, I'll show that one more time here for everybody who hasn't seen it. Again, you can find it on Amazon. And of course, I'm also geeked because my Detroit Lions beat the Kansas City Chiefs, the Super Bowl Chiefs. I'm geeked about that. I can't wait for this Sunday already. And I do appreciate that. I appreciate everybody coming on in. I appreciate my Lions. And Carlito will be joining me momentarily. Thank you. And now, like Gottfried for that great super chat. I do appreciate that. Great way to start the show. Pancho and Nella, thank you so much for that. And for those of you just joining us, Carlito will be joining me shortly. So I do have to say, that book 2, I'm already working on my book 2. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I'm just forward thinking here because book 1's doing all right. And so I've already been getting asked about book 2. That will be coming out as well. And I've got a great show too this Thursday coming up. In fact, the whole month of October is going to be nothing but Halloween. I'm already booked for October for great shows I'm going to be having with Tex and Krista coming up shortly here. The Lions, Glenn, on Sunday are playing Seattle, the Seattle Seahawks at home. I look forward to another victory. I should be counting my chickens before they're hatched, of course. So, yeah, I'm excited about that. And I'm excited to have all these new faces in chat today. Thank you for coming on in. I guess you must be Carlito fans. Well, if you haven't subscribed, subscribe to the channel and keep on coming back. We've got, again, I'm on Tuesday nights at 9, Thursday afternoons at 1. And, I'm just starting to ramble on a bit because when you expect, when you have a show going on, at least if I would have my co-host here, we could be BSing back together. And there's Jessica Jones, the Cryptid Huntress. Again, Jessica, I always promo you every day, Jessica, that I'm on. Jessica and I in October are coming up. A lot of you guys know about Dogman Island. In fact, it's probably my number one video. I've got 2 videos, Dogman Island 1 and 2. You can find both of those in the book as well. And my buddy, my lovely friend, and I, we've got one hell of a show coming up for you later next month because we're doing a deep dive into Dogman Island. And I got to tell you what, everything that's in the book, everything in the video is pretty damn accurate. And I'm going to leave it at that. So thanks to Jessica for that. Again, if you're joining me late, Carlito should be he should be pulling up in his driveway. He's getting everything all set up. So yes, I am rambling on. I am rambling just a little bit. Well, dog man, thank you, buddy. Yeah, you love it. Yep, thank you so much for that. I am parched. I'm literally parched. I've spoke now for 19 minutes and 50 seconds straight here. But hey, that's what happens when you do live shows, right? The unexpected always happens. But that's what's great about what we do, right? Because the unexpected is what the cryptid world is all about. You could go out researching, looking for cryptids, not find them for months on end. Then when you least expect it, you guys, isn't that when it happens? These things just pop up out of nowhere. I had no idea there might be a potential dog man where I live, 20 minutes away up the creek, a potential dog man. That my buddy Nick took a picture of a print. We're going to go investigate that here in a couple of weeks. So it should be fantastic. Should be fantastic. This should be a fantastic show. The Cryptid and Paranormal Kingdom with Carlito Castro should be he should be joining me shortly here. Thanks for everybody for coming in. And again, if you've got Philip Miller, where are these videos? Well, if you go to the Bigfoot Michigan Rob channel, which you're on right now, you go over to the playlist, and I've got nothing but subscriber encounters in my playlist. There's about 45 videos that I've done over the last year and a half that has encounters from subscribers. There's encounters from anonymous emails, and there's stories I've picked up over the last several years that I read to everybody. I usually drop those on Friday or Saturday. So yeah, there's a whole bunch of them in there. So yeah, Philip, they're on my channel, buddy. And for those that don't know, I'm on Tuesday nights at 9, which is today. I'm also on Thursdays at 1 o'clock. in the East. I hate to sound redundant, but I wasn't prepared to go solo here. I would have had a story or something queued up, but that's okay. I think I'm only minutes away here from Carlito joining me. And don't forget, um, I'm gonna read some of these comments here. Did Rob? We have been hearing a lot of stories about Dogman here in Missouri. I live in the river bottoms. Well, that's great to know, Anella, because two of our co-hosts, we've got Brandy and Krista, who both are from Missouri, and I think I saw Brandy in chat earlier. Maybe you can send her a message, and maybe we can, maybe they can, maybe investigate, depending if it's not too far from you. And I got to tell you about Anella. She always leaves great comments. I did, since I got you, and I'm killing time here. Thank you for all your lovely comments, Anella. I do appreciate them, and they're always coincide with what the show is all about. They always coincide with what the show is all about. So thanks so much for that. I'm just going to send this guy a quick text. Excuse me, guys. So anyway, yeah. So yeah, check that out, and we'll be getting on with the show here shortly. Thanks for everybody for being patient while we wait for Mr. Carlito Castro to join me. So, what did you guys do this past weekend? Give me a number one if there's any football fans out in the program tonight. I don't know. We're just kicking it right now for a few more minutes. And as I suspected, not too many. Not too many. Glenn Dennison says, have a drink. Well, I have to get something to drink more than this pop I'm drinking here because my mouth is like getting parched here. Going on 24 minutes for continuous talking. Thank God I have the gift. If you don't have the gift for gab, though, you can't do a podcast by yourself. I tell you what, it takes a lot out of you. And I'm not, I'm not looking for the sympathy card here because I do love doing what I'm doing for you guys. In fact, if it weren't for you guys, I wouldn't do this. I mean, I started this out a long time ago because of having an encounter, and I just like to present to you guys what I can present, you know, because what happened to me was traumatic, as most of you are well aware of, and I feel good doing shows to put out what needs to be put out in regards to these cryptids, and for those of us that suffer from PTSD or nightmares, because I had that for the longest time, and for the longest time I suffered, right? And the reason that I'm here today is because of having a cryptid experience. And I know many of you in chat and many of you listening later have had the same experiences, right? So I feel kind of proud that I do that. And I will say this too. I'm not unique to presenting people's stories or having people on. Many people do this. Many people tell other people's stories. But I can empathize. What makes me different, a little different, is because I've actually experienced these things. So I know where a lot of these people are coming from. So that's why I enjoy it so much, because I feel like I'm giving back, which in an odd sense was given to me, if that makes any sense. I'm given this burden, and it looks like Mr. Castro has finally made it. Finally made it. It looks like, so I'm gonna make sure everything. He gave me the peace sign. We must be good to go. Yeah, man.
Yeah, hey, how's it going, man?
Hey,
How's
man,
everybody?
peace, brother. I was going on 26 minutes of rambling, and I did pretty good. And I started running out of things to say, man, because
Right.
I don't want to say the same stuff over and over and over again, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So,
absolutely, man.
but man, I'm so glad to have you on. So
Thank
glad
you,
to
brother.
have you on.
Thank you for inviting me.
No, you're welcome. I'm going to get into this in a minute because I got to get something to drink real quick. So I'm going to put us both on mute really quick. Carly,
Okay.
if you want to do the same, I'll be back. It'll take me like 2 minutes.
All right.
All right. I am back. Yes, Brandy. I did not have my water ready. And Carlito, you're on mute there if you want to take yourself off mute. Fair. Yep, there you go. Yep, you got it.
Got it.
So, man, so I know you're on the road. I know you're thinking, man, because I know about 2 or 3 weeks ago you were scheduled to come on,
Yeah.
and you got tied up in traffic or something.
Yeah.
So, do you live in Houston? Is that where you were?
No, I actually live in a. I'm from Houston originally, but
Okay.
I live in a small town south of Houston. I'm gonna say about an hour south. It's called Victoria, Texas. I don't know if you guys ever heard of that, but yeah, it's a little town. I'm gonna say maybe like a fifth of what Houston is, but yeah, it's a small
Okay,
little town.
cool. Well, you know what? Who cares about the
Yeah,
past? And today you're here now. You made it
yeah.
in, and you saved me from talking for another hour. But
Absolutely, brother. Yeah, no, yeah,
so
absolutely, man.
so I'm going to kick back and listen for a little bit. Why don't you?
Yeah,
I know you're with the Cryptid and Paranormal Kingdom with Carlito Castro. I know that you've
right.
had a lot of different encounters with cryptids and the paranormal and UFOs. So you've got a
UFOs,
lot
yeah.
you could talk about. So why don't
Yeah,
you
yeah.
introduce yourself and give a brief background to our audience?
Yeah, sure. Love to. I'm Carlito Castro, and I've been in the cryptid world basically all my life since I was a kid. Like I like to tell my bio story. Um, I have a lot of things in common with Tom Cardos. I know you know him,
Yep.
Rob, and that's why we started our channel together back 2 years ago. Before that, we were on Marvin. I'm sorry, not Martin. Marvin's channel, and we were supporting him. We were on his show. We were his what do you call moderators and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
And me and Tom, kind of spoke behind the scenes and said, "Hey, man, why don't we, what do you think about starting our own podcast?" Right?
Yeah.
He says, "You know what? Yeah, that's a great idea, man." So that's where it all started. Me and him started our podcast, which was basically Cryptid and Paranormal Kingdom. Then after that, I'm gonna say like maybe 6 months down the line, he said, "You know what, Carlito? We're kind of not on the same because he's on Eastern time, right?
Yeah.
So and I wanted to start my show at 8 o'clock, Texas time. That's 9 o'clock Eastern time. So that was kind of late for him, right?" And we're still best buddies and everything, you know what I mean? And we support each other, each other's podcasts and stuff. But yeah, I said, yeah, man, absolutely, I completely understand, bro. We don't coincide on the days, we don't coincide on the hour because I can't be there at 7, his 8, you know what I mean? And we're because of work, and all that, and so we just kind of did our own thing after that, and like I said, we're still good buddies, best buddies, and and what I mentioned about Tom is that his bio is basically the same as mine.
Yeah.
Ever since we were kids, we were into cryptids and UFOs and chupacabras, all that. You know what I mean? Well, it wasn't chupacabras that came into play until '93. But before that, it was Loch Ness monster, all that good stuff, Bigfoot and all that.
Mm.
Um, and Carlito gets his spook. Yeah, I will. Punch you, I will. And and yeah, so that's how we started. You know, what I mean, since we were kids, we would go to the library, and I said we because Tom included, it's the same
Yes.
exact thing. Ever since we were like I don't know, I guess 4 or 5 years old or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We were really interested in all the cryptid and paranormal things in life, and so we would go to like libraries and check out books. Back then that's how it was. We would watch, all the spooky shows, right? Tales from the Crypt, Tales from the Dark Side, all that. And we basically grew up, with that, you know, in our embedded in our minds, right? And of course, and the same thing. We love the same movies. American Werewolf in London was one of the first movies that impacted us. Well, mine was actually what's the ones in the '80s, early '80s. It was The Howling. That was like the one that got me like whoa, like really, really interested in the cryptid and paranormal stuff like that. And but of course back then, I must have been when I watched The Howling. I think it's like 1980, 81.
Oh yeah.
I must have been like 5 years old, 5 or 6 years old. And back then, let me tell you, Rob, back then they would let kids like us watch these damn movies which we weren't supposed to. Now
Yeah.
now you ask a parent, Rob, would you let him watch Halloween, the original one, John Carpenter? Would you let him or her watch it at 5 or 6 years old? Hell no. They'd tell you right away. They'd be
No,
like,
not at
no.
5 or 6.
Right?
No way. No
Right,
way. No.
right. See, and that's the thing back then. They didn't give a damn. Our parents or our older brothers or sisters, they didn't give a damn. They'd be like, yeah, you want to watch it, watch it. And yeah, so that's kind of like that's that's something where you shouldn't do, but it happens. So it is what it is, and that's how
Yeah.
we went down this paranormal encrypted highway or whatever you
Okay.
want to call it. Yeah. So
It's interesting. I think we all as kids, like probably a lot of people in chat and probably listening later.
yeah,
My dad brought me up on monster movies, but it wasn't like the American Werewolf in London to start right out the gate. It was like
yeah,
the
yeah,
black and white Frankenstein,
yeah.
the werewolf, Dracula, and then
Right, right.
and
All the classics.
I was always interested in that. Yes, and then I even got Hey Susan Woodcarver, and then I was always interested in. Then I started getting interested in the monster movies, and of course, I eventually saw the werewolf, all the werewolf movies. One of my favorite movies though is it slips my mind. I'll have to get back to it in a minute. But how I even got started in this, is I had ghost encounters or experiences as a little kid, and I seen a UFO as a little kid. But I really didn't get full blown into this until I had my first Bigfoot encounter, which a lot of people, you probably heard it as well. So for you, I don't know what time frame it's for you, because I know you've definitely seen UFOs. But let me ask you this:
Mhm.
have you had a cryptid encounter, and if so, what was your first one?
Yes, I believe now, which after everything I've researched and everything I've learned about cryptids, I believe I did have a Bigfoot encounter, even though it wasn't a visual one. It was more of a physical, smelling and hearing, stuff like that. That's one, and that was I must have been like 15 years old. So because we were still teens, we my story is about that. It was in 19, no, not 19. I'm sorry. Hold on. 19. If I was 15, I was born in 75. So if I was 15, it must have been what, 90, 1990, right? Yeah.
Hmm.
So I had to be the year around 1990, which was I was like 15 years old then. Yeah, I know. I don't look that old, guys. I know that's what they're
Yeah,
wondering in the chat. Like, what?
yeah, yeah.
75? Yeah,
29.
yeah. And yeah, I mean, I get that all the time. Man, you look way younger than what your real age is, right? But anyway, enough about that. Yeah, so it must have been 1990, and I was in Texas. I was in a small little bitty town called Bay City, Texas. That's where we used to live back then before we moved to Houston, of course. And the thing is that in that small little town, it's a very very small little town, and has a lot of wooded area. So in between the houses, there was a lot of wooded patchy areas. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I guess kind of like West Virginia or something. That now that I've researched, and you'll see a house here, and then a mile down you'll see another house, or maybe two, three houses, or whatever, right? And kind of like that. So we were playing, like me and the kids from my neighbors. Basically, they were my friends, my neighbors. We were playing in the backwoods behind our houses, and we would play like shooting each other with BB guns, man.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
that was a thing back then. You know what I mean? We were
I
tough.
know we used to
We were
take
tough
BB.
kids.
Yeah, what
Yeah.
we used to do really briefly, I don't mean to cut you off, but this
Yeah.
brings up a kid. As growing up, we had mini bikes, and
Hmm.
we had the woods, we had the trails, and we had just an open
Hmm.
field, and we'd have two people on a mini bike, and the guy in the rear of the mini bike. Yes, we did this. I don't recommend it for anybody that has young kids, but I was like, we were 7 or 8, and I got grounded for a week. By the way, we all had BB guns. There's like four of us. We all had mini bikes, so it was
Uh-huh.
like 8 kids. and the guy in the back end was reverse, and we would fire BBs at each other while driving the mini bikes.
Yeah, I believe that. I
We
believe
opened
that.
fire. You know, we didn't
Yeah.
wear no goggles
Yeah,
either. I
no,
mean,
no,
we could have
no.
lost tonight, dude, because
Yeah.
it. And
Yeah.
I got hit. One embedded, it got bent. You know, got stuck in my
Oh, embedded.
skin.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And my
Absolutely.
mom's like, "What the hell are you guys doing?" So
I
yeah,
got
the
one
mini
right
bike.
here,
Yeah.
right in
I,
between
yeah.
my yeah.
Oh yeah.
And
So
it's still there.
I got
That's
grounded
crazy.
off the mini bike. I got grounded off the mini bike. Jessica Jones, if you're still out there, I don't recommend that for your kid. I know he would do that in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
But
No,
yes. So
the
anyway,
kids nowadays wouldn't be allowed to do any of that. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
well, yeah, but they're allowed to kill people on. You were talking earlier about the monster movies. Hell,
Yeah.
these video games are like monster movies. You're shooting up
Yeah.
people all day long, you know.
Yeah.
But that's a topic for another day. So I'm
Right.
sorry.
Right.
Just continue on.
Right.
I can
Right.
get short
Okay.
sighted sometimes.
No, it's good. It's cool. Completely cool, man. Thank you. So, so yeah. So that's when it happened back in like '90, and we were there behind the woods, and we were playing. We decided to play, hide and go seek, but we would play hide and go seek with our guns. You know what I'm saying? With our BB guns, right? Because we would shoot each other, right? That was the thing back then. Like I said, we were tough kids, and so when somebody would find somebody that would shoot them, that would let them know that you've been found or whatever. Anyway, um, to make a long story short, I was out hiding. I kind of went kind of far out, to hide real good from
Yep.
them not to see me. This was way before it was a thing about what are those things? The paintballs. So it was kind of like a
Yep.
paintball thing for us, right?
Yep.
Shooting each other. But so I kind of hid like pretty back in the woods or whatever, right? I mean, it's not considerably, far, but not extremely far or anything like that. You know what I mean? Maybe I'm gonna say maybe like half a block away, from where the original house was, where we start, and, kind of meet up or whatever,
Yeah.
right? Okay, so I went out there, and I'm gonna say a good maybe if you think about it like in football field, I'm gonna say like a good 30, 40 yards. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And so I was hiding back there, and I heard other guys running around and shooting each other, and hey, I got you, I found you, whatever, right? And and me, I was hiding so good, and I was ducked down right with my BB gun, my little what were those little BB guns called? The ones you used to pump like
Yeah.
that.
I had a CrossFit air gun.
Yeah, there you go, Crossman. Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, and like that little kid, right, from that movie Christmas,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. I know you're talking. Yep.
Yeah, one of
Mm-hmm.
those where you pump it like this.
Yeah.
You got to pump air into it. Okay, so anyway, so I was back there, and I had my little, my little rifle, my little BB rifle, whatever, hiding real good, supposedly. And I started hearing things behind me, man, and I was like, man, I thought it was one of them guys, right, trying to find me or sneak up on me or
Mm-hmm.
shoot me and say, hey, I found you, whatever, right? But I started hearing like tree branches breaking, like small twigs and stuff
Mm-hmm.
breaking. And I was like, oh shit, they found me, right? And I was like, I
Yeah.
just kept still, real silent, and then I started getting this ugly, musky, pungent smell, dude.
Yeah. Okay.
And the way I describe it's like rotten meat,
Oh yeah.
piss,
Hmm.
scat, everything all together, man.
Yeah.
Like everything all together. It smelled bad, dude. Like a really
Okay.
bad garbage can. So anyway, so I was like, oh shit, they found me, right? Whatever. And I just turn around and nothing. I couldn't see anybody, right? Like, oh shit. And I said, hey, okay, man, you found me, whatever. And nobody would answer. So I'm like, what the hell? I thought it was gonna be somebody saying, yeah, I found you, bro, I got you, right? Nobody. So I'm like, oh shit. So I started getting the creeps, you know what I mean? It kind of
Yeah.
got a little chills or whatever. Like, oh shit, maybe it's something else, you know what I mean? It wasn't really heard of or anything like that. But back then, coyotes was like a big thing, and maybe
Okay.
a mountain lion or something. So I'm like, oh shit, what if it's a predator stalking me or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I decided to go back into the house, right? Boom. I said, okay, well, it's been too long. They haven't found me, and I just heard that and kind of creeped me out. So I went back. Well, next thing you know, I show up where the guys were at, and they were all there in the front porch of the house. That's where we used to hang out, whatever. And I said, hey, who found me back there, man? About, I don't know, 5 minutes ago, 10 minutes at the most. Like, well, what are you talking about, man? No, dude, we've been here for like 15 minutes already, bro. Where you been? We were looking for you. We were wondering. I was like, holy shit. I was like, man, I heard some noise. I smelled some ugly ass, pungent smell. They're like, oh man, and they all kind of laughed like, oh, it's the kukui or the
Yeah,
devil or something paranormal,
something.
something like
Yeah,
that, right? Like, oh, shit, and I just felt like my like how you feel like when everything goes down your body and it comes
yeah.
back up, like
Hmm.
that. That's how I felt, man. Like goosebumps. Dude. I'm like, what the hell? And everybody, kind of joke around after that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're shooting an eye out. Cryptid Hunter said, yeah. So anyway, that's what happened, and I was like, oh man, I wonder if it was something paranormal, whatever,
Yeah.
right?
Now you were younger. Now you were younger though, and this
Yeah,
obviously.
yeah.
Yeah.
I was around 14, 15 years old. You know
Right.
what I mean? And I never had any type of experience with either ghosts or cryptids or UFOs.
Yeah.
Still back then.
Yeah.
So then later on, that was my what I believe
First
was my first cryptid. That was my cryptid
experience.
experience. Yeah. And then after that, I'm gonna say when I was like maybe 11th grade or close to 12th grade, I was close to graduating. I remember I was living with a sister of mine in Texas also, and I was home alone. I was washing some clothes in the garage, right? And I was kind of cleaning up the house. I had some music going on. I was kind of cleaning up and everything, right? Well, I heard the door slam on the door, and mind you, that door is about 2 inches thick and heavy as hell. I'm pretty sure you know about that, right, Rob? Where
Mhm.
the garage doors are heavier than your regular,
Back then, yeah, for
front
sure.
door
Very.
and whatever.
Oh,
Yeah, they
very
were
heavy.
heavy.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so I figured how did it close, right? How did it close on its own? There's no wind drift in here. There's the garage door was closed. So I was like, how did that close? I said, okay, well, I didn't pay it no mind. I went in the garage, went to back to checking my clothes that I was washing, whatever. Came back, left it open again, but this time I left it wide open, like completely against the wall, open. You know what I mean? I said, okay,
Mhm.
well, it shouldn't shut, this time or whatever. Kept doing what I was doing, clean up, listening, changing to my music. And back then it was them big old stereos that had cassette player,
Oh yeah.
record, all that
The
good
big
stuff.
old, yeah,
Yeah, you remember those? Yeah, it
big
was a
old boom
Kenwood.
box.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was. We
Oh,
had a Kenwood.
I had
Yeah,
Kenwood and Infinity Studio monitor
yeah,
speakers, but yeah, but brings me
yeah.
back as well, my man. But yeah,
Oh
go ahead.
yeah, yeah. They had some awesome stereos back then, man.
Yep.
They were like 4 foot tall
Yep.
speakers, and then everything. Man, it was cool. But anyway, so I was blasting that music and stuff, and then boom again. I heard it. Well, I actually seen it from the corner of my eye, swinging to close. Boom, and it scared me, right? Obviously. So I looked like that real quick, and I didn't see anybody there. I'm like, what the hell? So I ran. I said, "This got to be somebody in the garage." I ran, opened the door, you know, and looked in the garage. There was nobody there, and I was like, "What the hell? How can that happen?" You know what I mean? I was like, "Ain't no way." So I got the goosebumps again.
Yep.
Went to the kitchen, grabbed a big old kitchen knife. I said, "Man, I want to defend myself if somebody's in here, right?"
Yes.
So I remember I didn't see anybody, whatever. And I remember my grandma, she was from like old country Mexico, whatever. And she told me when I was a little kid, she said, "Mijo, if something ever scares you, like you think it's a ghost or some type of entity, because she knew
Yes.
about that. We knew
Okay.
about that since I was a kid, about the Llorona, about all the Mexican, paranormal folklore and all that, right? The
Okay.
Llorona is like the banshee, pretty much.
Okay.
Ghosts. We heard ghosts since we were kids. We heard ghost stories and all that. Campfire ghost stories. But anyway, she said if you ever feel that somewhere in the house and you feel a presence, because you're gonna feel it. You're not gonna see it, but you're gonna feel it. And I don't know why she told me that, but now I kind of do. That I got this kind of like sixth sense on
Well,
feeling paranormal stuff around me.
well, it's true. I'll just back up to your first experience of 14 or 15. You
Mhm.
had from the head to toe experience, and now 3 or 4 years older, the same type of encounter or something paranormal, perhaps.
Right,
And
right.
you had the same body,
The
your body.
same thing, yeah, that goes up and down. Yeah, it feels, yeah, it feels crazy, man. That feeling feels crazy.
How long would you say that you've been, let's say, because would you consider yourself just a researcher in the area? And the reason I ask is this: because if you've been in the field looking for a cryptid,
Hmm.
and you made mention earlier about that pungent
Hmm.
smell, right?
Right,
Combination of trash, scat.
right, right.
Have you ever experienced that again? in your experiences in the woods, or was it just the one time?
No, it was just that one time. But I have had dreams, kind of vivid
Uh-oh.
dreams about me running into these paranormal, or I should say cryptid beings. I know it's because I researched so much of Bigfoot and Dogman. I know, like even my wife says, "Hey, you didn't stop that because you're drawing that in to the house, and you're gonna draw that into running into one of these days or whatever." I was like, no, I'm not gonna, no, that's not gonna happen or whatever, right? But
Right.
now I kind of do think that is partly true, where you can draw something in like that, right?
Yep.
Just like you can draw in negativity, you can draw in that type of paranormal activity as well, man. That's what I think. Now,
I've learned a lot, back when I first met Jessica Jones a couple of years ago, and I know Brandy and Krista,
hmm
and I was never into this energy thing, right?
hmm
Or the positive vibes, right? Your frequencies,
right,
and never thought much about that until I, met a few other people. The cool thing about what we do now, you meet so many cool people and
yeah,
learn so many different things. I've learned
exactly,
quite a bit
exactly,
from them. And to me, yeah, it's that frequency or vibe. Now you were talking about not really knowing and how you get attached with certain things. Hey, but announced to me when I was in my 20s, man, I got attached by a bunch of paranormal stuff. I got
right. That's
attached,
another
yeah,
thing, attachment.
and
Yeah,
and I was collecting antiques, me and the wife, and all of a sudden my energy was low, the frequency was low, right? Or however, or high or low, whichever the negative one is, but I was at a downward spin because everything in my life was negative because I had brought negative energy into the house. And
right,
we found a
right,
lot of these things were haunted. And I saw dark shadows in the house. And the minute that, and we had somebody come over to inspect and said, yeah, stuff you have in this room is giving off this negative frequency, these negative vibrations. Didn't want to tell us it was ghosts or anything nefarious, but I knew what this person was talking about. You just don't see shadow people in the darkness. I literally saw shadows coming out of the darkness, as did my wife. But as soon as we got rid of that, it went away. But I put it in my garage, and when I did spring cleanup, they were there. I seen these dark shadows in the garage, and I took them out and took them to a dump and got rid of everything. So I do believe that, and I never would have believed this up until maybe several years ago, that when you're in the woods, wherever you're at, you have to be careful of what you're investigating because I do believe these things can grab on you, like
right,
hitchhikers. A lot of people say, right? They grab
right.
onto you and they'll follow you. They'll follow you from state to state if you don't acknowledge it and get rid of
Yeah,
it.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I've learned that too throughout the years of the cryptid researching and paranormal. That if you go out investigating, whether it be cryptid or to go investigating a haunted house, abandoned house, looking for paranormal activity or whatever, that you do get an attachment. You know what I mean? I'm not going to say every time you go out there, but
No,
sooner or later you're going to get an attachment. But for that, like my good friend Al Santoriga says, you got to be able to know how to clean yourself before and after you do your paranormal investigations.
no, I do believe it. I've learned that again. I believe it now because I've been taught that throughout the last several years about that, and it's all about this real good word. It's called intent. Right? It's called
hmm
intent. What's your intentions? What do you plan on doing with this that you're searching for? Because
Right,
some people don't have the right intentions either, right? And
right.
these are people that are hindered with all sorts of negativity, right? And I know you just got here, but I have to take my 5 minute break because of our radio side. We got
Yeah.
to give them their 5 minutes, but we'll be back because
Okay.
I know you've got a lot of UFO experience. You got a lot of cool
Yes.
encounters that we'll get into in the second half here.
Yeah.
And
Sure.
hey, man, just thanks for showing up, man. Because I don't know if I was going to go an hour and a half, man.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
know.
I could be long winded. I get it, but we'll be
Yeah.
back in 5 with Carlito Castro, the
Absolutely.
Cryptid and Paranormal Kingdom with Carlito. We'll be back in 5.
All right.
4 minutes to go, folks. 4 minutes. Three minutes. We're almost there. Two-minute warning, guys. 2-minute warning. One minute. 1 minute.
Well, hello, everybody. And thanks for tuning on in Beyond BMR with Carlito Castro this evening, the Cryptid and Paranormal Kingdom. Fantastic show thus far. I do want to thank Pancho and Anella for your awesome super chats to get the show started. It's a great way to help support what I do around here. The super chats are greatly appreciated. Also, thank you for those of you that have purchased my book, Bigfoot, Michigan Rob Presents True Cryptid Encounters. You can find that on Amazon. Thank you so much for the support with that. I do appreciate that. On Mondays, don't forget, is Texas Front Porch, 9 o'clock in the East. Tuesdays is Van Buren Variety, 8 in the East. Beyond BMR, 9 o'clock in the East. Wednesdays, Jason McLean Questions Everything. You can find Jason, 8 o'clock in the East on his channel, by the way. The Diva Dimension, 10 o'clock in the East. That's on Wednesdays. Thursday afternoon, 1 o'clock in the East. Me and Krista, Brunch with Bigfoot, Michigan Rob. The Blondes, the Booze, the Paranormal Podcast, Thursday nights at 9. Check out the Booze. And if you need some woo with the Booze, you got them back again on Friday. The Blondes, the Booze, and the Woo, Fridays at 9. Check them out. Tex has something on Saturday at 3 in the East. Infamous Minds, True Crime with Danielle Diva. Saturdays, don't forget Jessica Jones on Space Style Radio, Saturday and Sunday, 10 o'clock in the East. And of course, she is the Cryptid Huntress. You can find her on her YouTube channel, I think twice during the week. So go check out Jessica. I'm going to bring up Carlito. And so, hey, man, thanks for coming on in tonight, Carlito. Great show thus far. A lot of good response from people in chat.
Thank you.
You're one of the best chatters. I have a great chat group. I really do. They really are in tune and they're enjoying it thus far. So yeah, you've had some really cool beginnings, right? Out in the woods with the smells and some paranormal activity. And I know you've had some UFO encounters. Before we get into that, is there anything else that you can reflect on? Maybe on the if you're done with if that's all the cryptid stuff you got going on, what's one of the craziest paranormal experiences? I know you mentioned Al. He's known as what, the Squatch Father, right?
Father, yeah.
He's a great guy, and of course Tom Cardos, two great researchers in their own right.
Mm-hmm.
So you're in good company with them.
Yeah.
What about with your paranormal experiences? Because this show goes all over the place. I'm really interested in this paranormal niche, right? So,
Right.
what have you come across that's really like blown your mind? You can't make heads or tails of.
Okay, yeah. Well, like with the encounter that I mentioned before, when I felt like a ghost presence.
Yeah.
Right, and just to finish up on that.
Yeah.
After that, we found out when we moved out that house was indeed haunted. My sister told us, but after the fact that all that happened, and after we had moved out, so I'm like, wow, I guess that's what it was then. You know what I mean? And I'm like, wow, okay. I'm glad I didn't know back then, right? But anyway, yeah. So I had that one. Then I had one in Mexico when I was younger, like a teen, and we were in Mexico visiting some family, and we had it was my grandma's house actually in Mexico, and we were visiting, and one of my brothers back then they had like a outside restroom or whatever, right? Because they had a big patio, and and at this house, it was in the city. This was actually Mexico City. One of my brothers was in the restroom, and back then I don't know how it happened or whatever, but they had kind of like a little sliding door, but it had like, I don't know, I'm gonna say maybe 8 inches, on the bottom, kind of open or whatever. And so he said, and I lived this, I was there, and he said that he was using the restroom. And all of a sudden, he saw somebody walk by. He saw the feet go by, right?
Okay.
And he didn't think nothing of it. He thought it was maybe one of my brothers or somebody. And what happened was that the little dog that we had, he went chasing after that person. He went like passed through there. So my brother got up real quick and like, holy, whatever, and like, what the hell was that, right? So he swung the sliding door open. And he looked out. He didn't see anybody, but he saw the dog chase that, thing or whatever towards the back to this like little room that was kind of like not abandoned, but it was more like a storage type of room that wasn't really being used or anything. Just had a bunch of boxes and all kinds of stuff back there. Well, he said that he started screaming and telling my other, "Hey, somebody's in the house! Somebody's in the house!" I saw him walk by. And I guess the dogs, back there got him cornered or whatever. So he went, we all went back there. I heard it. I was inside. We came out. Everybody came out running and towards the back. And my older brothers, obviously, they grabbed like a knife or something, just for protection. And we all went back there and there was nothing there. So like, what the hell was, what was that all about or whatever? My brother said, man, he was shaking. It's like, man, you probably won't believe me, but hey, I saw this with my own 2 eyes, bro. He said, I swear to God, there's somebody went walking back there. And late, we didn't think nothing of it. We were just like, oh, well, he must have just seen something or whatever, right? But then later on, we came to find out that my mom told us later. She's like, you know what? That must have been your uncle so and so, some uncle that died in that house. And we were like, holy crap! There was an uncle that died here. We're like, yeah, many years ago, it was your uncle that died. So we're like, oh man, that must have been crazy to see that person, right? For it to manifest like that, right? So that kind of got me more into it too. Like, damn, so there really is such a thing as ghosts. Because before that, it was just stories until those things started happening. So I was like, man, dude, and I was like, oh man, I don't know how I can deal with this kind of stuff, around me. A haunted house I used to live in, and then a haunted house over here too. That, my uncle was, was the haunting or whatever, and I was like, man, that's crazy. And then before that too, though, I gotta tell you, there's a story before that.
Yeah.
In my grandmother's house, before that house, it was a bigger house, and this was like out in the country in some small town in another rural part of Mexico. It was a big house, and there was a big backyard, and there was like this little stream that went all around it, right? And the outhouse, which was basically a bathroom back then, the outhouse, it was in the back outside, so you had to go outside the house through the patio into that into that restroom. And oddly enough, it was right over that stream, so you could kind of figure out 2 and 2 what was going on there. So so when you went to the restroom, you were basically it was going into that stream or whatever. Anyway, long story short, my younger sister, she's 2 years younger than me. I must have been like maybe 5 or 6, something like that. So she was 2 years younger than me. She must have been like 3, maybe 4. And she had went back there to the restroom, and she was brave. She wasn't scared to go out there at night. They had like one little, light bulb out there just to, kind of light up the patio, right? But then past that, all you see was darkness, right? Back,
Okay.
And she was in the restroom, and I went looking for her for some reason. I'm like, hey, where's Mary? Right, my younger sister's name is Mary. Where's Mary? Where's Mary? And she's like, oh, she must have went to the restroom. So I went back there, looking for her. And next thing you know, when I got there, right before I got there, I heard her talking, right, like talking to somebody. I said, oh, she must have came with somebody, one of my sisters or something, right, older sisters or whatever. So I went back there, and she was, in fact, sitting on the toilet thing, but she was talking like this next, to somebody next to her. Well, when I got there, and I was like, hey, what are you doing? And she turned around, looked at me, she said, oh, I'm talking to my friend so-and-so. I'm like, what? What do you mean? She's like, yeah, don't you see him right here next to me? I'm like, holy shit. Again, that that feeling like, holy shit. I'm like, man, that's crazy. And I didn't see nothing there. So that's basically like a paranormal experience when you feel that, that go up and down your body, right? Goosebumps. Yeah. So then I was like, no, what do you mean? Who are you talking to? There's nobody there. Like, yeah, he's right here. I was like, nope, boom, grabbed her, took off running. I was like, no, hell no, you ain't talking to nobody. So I grabbed her, didn't even clean her or nothing, just took her all the way inside because she was smaller than me, right? And then obviously I told my parents and my older brothers. So she was talking to somebody like, what? Who are you talking to? And they asked her. She's like, oh yeah, I was just talking to my friend so and so. And they all looked at each other like, man, hell no. So that was another paranormal experience that I had, even though I didn't see it. Like I said the first time, I didn't see anything, but I felt it, and there was something there. It's just how you get that feeling where you just know something's there. Yeah.
I've had so many. You're not the first person, myself included, actually, that hasn't had. Oh, by the way, Penny asked if that's an aquarium. She loves that sound in the background. She sounds to her like an aquarium. That you just
yeah, it's my fish tank right behind the computer.
Yeah, good call, Penny. But it's funny because a lot of people have seen ghosts, and the person next to them can't see anything. When I was growing up, I saw ghosts, and it's usually when I was younger with my brother, and I would point it out to him, and he couldn't see anything. And it's happened to me, it's happened to you, and it's happened to a lot of other people that I've come across. And let me ask you, you've had a lot of similar experiences, earlier on with possible cryptid encounter. now with the paranormal, several of them.
Hmm.
Do you think that certain people, maybe even yourself,
Hmm.
do you think once you've the certain why do you think other people have these experiences and other people have not? And I'll even throw in there the fact that some people go looking for these things or these encounters, but never get it. Like
Right.
you or I never looked
Yeah. No,
for
me either.
ghosts. I never looked for Bigfoot. I
Yeah.
found it. They found me, I should say. Is
Right.
that kind of how it was for you?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. That's how it is because I've never looked into that, and I never went to go look for ghosts or anything like that. I knew a lot of places when I was younger that that were abandoned, that were haunted, but I never cared to go. Hey, let's go see. What we can find, what we can see, what we can experience or whatever. I never had that curiosity. So basically, I've never went looking for these things. They found me, like you just mentioned. So I don't know. Maybe I have some type of gift for this kind of thing or something. Where I can feel these and know that they're there. I just can't see them though. See, and there's other people that have this. I guess you could say dawn or whatever that they can see these things. You know what I mean? They can actually
Okay.
see these things. Normal people can't. Normal people can't see them, but there's people that have that gift that they can see them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I know a few people like that.
And even yourself though, with a lot of the research you've done or investigations or going out, can you feel when there's something not right in a place you've been in?
Yes.
Like you can walk in your house and it's like
Hmm.
every day you walk in your house, you get home from
Nothing.
work. But if you
Right.
go somewhere that
Hmm.
is allegedly haunted or there's something strange going on, can you yourself though feel it without seeing anything?
Yes. Yes, I can. And I'm glad you brought that up because I do on my I'm a contractor, right? Self-employed. And sometimes when I go to houses to fix things and there's nobody there, sometimes I don't feel anything, but there's sometimes that I do feel something like something's wrong, something's here. I feel it and I just kind of, walk away or just get out of there or whatever, but I feel it and I'm like, no, something's here, something's wrong. I better get out of here before, this thing tries to, manifest itself or even attach to me or something. You know what I mean? You feel that I don't know what to call it. I mean, I don't even know the words for it, but you can feel that energy in the air. You know what I mean? Well, I
Hmm.
can anyway. Yeah.
No, I can definitely feel energy and different things about me, especially since people have actually brought that up to me. I mean,
Mhm.
I've had great intuition even as a little kid about certain things, but I
Right.
never growing up thought anything of it.
Right.
I just thought that was everybody has these experiences or everybody has these intuitions about people because I can sum up a person in under 30 seconds and I can tell you pretty much with certain accuracy if what their intent is or if they're a good or bad person. I've always been able to do that, but I
Right.
never questioned why.
Right.
I just
Right.
thought that we all could do this until much later in life, I was told, no, 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 Rob, no, not everybody can do that. So I'm not saying that I have a special skill or gift.
Right.
Some people suggest that, but I'm not going to say, yeah, I'm special.
Yeah.
No, it's
Right.
just that I just, then I kind of opened my eyes. And even really since I started getting involved with this about 5 years ago, is when I really started looking at myself and I started looking at things that I've experienced in my past that I blew off in my past. Now, today, when I go revisit them in my mind, I'm like, damn, that was something other than what I initially thought it was. What
Right.
about you? Can you, looking back, are
Yeah.
there
Yeah.
things that you blew off, but now today you think maybe could have been paranormal, could have been something cryptid?
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. Now that I know what I know, like I said, now I can kind of, look back and say, man, you know what? That must have been some type of paranormal, you know, uh, you know, experience or encounter or something, right? Because like you said, you got that high intuition feeling, I don't know, it's kind of like a sixth sense, I guess you could say. I don't know. But I've been told the same thing that you know what, Carlito, you have that gift, but you just don't know how to use it. You don't know how to. I'm like, yeah, absolutely, I don't know how to use it. It's just there, and I just get that feeling when something's, you know, I get that intuition that something's not right. You know what I mean? Whether it be the energy, let me say this, whether it be the energy of a person, that's
Yeah.
next to me, or something that you can't see, which is something paranormal basically. So yeah, I mean, I have that same thing too. Hmm.
Yeah, it's just and it's always pops up in all the strangest of places, and
Hmm.
typically it's when you don't expect anything, right?
Right,
And that's the thing too. If you're looking to find something, you're not going to find nothing.
right,
It's
right,
usually when you just have that open mind and say, "Hey, let it come to me," and whether it happens, it happens. If it don't, it don't. You just move on.
right. And you know
Yeah.
what, too, Rob? I've always gotten that feeling, like, especially, well, now as an adult, really, not much as a kid, but now that I'm an adult, when I'm out somewhere, by myself, and it's pretty dark, and I'm somewhere, not that I'm not supposed to be, but that I'm somewhere, kind of late. Like, I like to work late to like maybe 8, 9, 10, 11 o'clock, up to 11 o'clock, you know what I mean? In these houses where I do remodeling and stuff like that, right? And like I said, sometimes I get that feeling that something's watching me, man. And, maybe there's a little patch of woods behind the house or something. And I'm outside, cutting something, whatever, with the porch light or whatever, right? Like I said, I like to say it, kind of late night, whatever. And I have my music going or my earphones, whatever. And I'm, I'm just zoned in, right, to what I'm doing, working. Okay, I got to cut this, I got to do that, I got to put that, I got to take that off, stuff like that, right?
Mhm.
So then, and I don't feel anything, but sometimes when I get that feeling, sometimes that something's there watching me, and that's when I get those, kind of like goosebumps again. And especially like I said, when you look out into the dark and you know that there's nothing but trees, and and that's kind of gives you like a I don't know, kind of like a uneasy feeling. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm. Oh yeah, I know the feeling. I get it all the time, and we're gonna change gears a little bit because I want to get into this a little bit because you had sent me a little bio by yourself, and you had made mention that
Hmm.
you've also had a lot of UFO
Right.
encounters and activity.
Hmm.
And I like to get in that a little bit because
Yeah.
I always love good UFO stories or experiences. And, in this show, we talk about just about anything. So, why don't you walk us through your first UFO experience?
Yeah. Sure. Absolutely. Okay. So the very first UFO, I had three in total. The very first UFO was back in '93. I was with my first wife, and we were in. This was actually in Mexico City, because, like I mentioned before, we still have family over there. So we
Okay.
were over there, visiting and all that, and we went to like what's called downtown Mexico City, which is called El Centro, right? Which basically, the center. I guess that's what it translates to. But anyway, basically downtown,
Okay.
and there was a lot of stores, shops, restaurants, all that kind of stuff, right? And we were kind of shopping around, different stores and stuff like that. And we came out of one store, and this was plain day, man. Plain, I don't know, 2, 3 o'clock, p.m. day, bro. And we came out of one shop, and we were heading, to another shop or whatever. And we saw a bunch of people at the corner of that, that street or the intersection, I should say. We saw a bunch of people gathered up, and they were all kind of like, looking up and, kind of pointing or whatever, and kind of caught our curiosity, like, hey, I wonder what's going on over there. We kind of thought it might have been kind of like a, one of those street performers or something. Maybe they were watching somebody,
Yeah.
like a little street clown or a mime or whatever. And so we got there and we're like, hey, what's going on? What are y'all watching? What's going on? What's the occasion or what's the event? And like, oh no, look, man, up there, don't you see it? And like, what? See what? I didn't see it at first. I'm like, no, I don't see it. What is it? And they're like, look again. And he pointed straight up. He said, look right here. Follow my finger. And I looked. And I was like, holy crap. And it looked like to me at first, it was shiny. It was a shiny object. And it was that chrome color, kind of
Yeah.
grayish chrome looking color. And it was, I guess, the bottom of this, aircraft or whatever it was, right? Object. And I'm like, man, that's just a balloon. You know how the back of the balloons, the party balloons, they got that chrome color, right?
Yeah.
I'm like,
Absolutely.
man, that's just a balloon, man. It's gonna, nah. They're like, no, dude, we've been here for about 10, 15 minutes and it hasn't moved. We're like, what? Are you serious? And I looked up again and I told my wife, like, look, it's a UFO. See, I told you they were real, right? She's like, no, that's a bunch of bullcrap or whatever. And like, no, look, they're saying it's a UFO and it's not moving. I said, if it was a balloon, it would have been going up to where you can't see it. And she's like, She's like, yeah, well, yeah, you're right about that. But I
Yeah,
don't know. It
was it
could
like
be
was it hovering or was it
yeah,
darting around or just
yeah,
kind of?
yeah. It was just hovering, bro. It was just hovering, and it was close down to to where the people could see it. It was
Yeah,
close. I'm gonna say, like in football fields,
yeah.
I'm gonna say maybe one football field away,
So
up in the air.
that's
That's pretty close.
that's pretty close. Yeah,
Yeah, that's pretty close. But you can see it. But like I said, I thought it was a balloon or whatever, and I'm like, I had a kind of like second thought it, and so but anyway, long story short, we got bored of just looking at it, sitting there. Look, we must have sat there and looked at it for about I don't know about 6-7 minutes or something, and we just what, let's just go. Well,
yeah,
my wife did anyway. I wanted to
yeah.
stay, but she was like, nah, let's go. We got things to do. So we took off, right? We started walking towards, one of the main, big avenues or whatever. Caught a cab, because over there, it's just like in New York City. You just raise your hand and catch a cab, like that, and they'll
Mm.
stop. The next one that's right in front of you will stop and take you wherever you got to go. Well, anyway, we did that. We got in the back of the car of the cab, and I was still curious about this thing. She didn't care really. I was curious about this thing, and I kept turning back and looking at it, and I could still see it. So we got about, I'm gonna say maybe 2 blocks away from where it was, and I looked back just to see if I could still see it. And yeah, sure enough, I could still see it. I'm like, damn, this thing's still there. I'm like, what? That's crazy. I wonder if it is a real UFO, right? And because that's another thing in Mexico, there's no such thing as government made
Yeah,
unidentified
well, I was going to
objects.
ask you
There's
about
no such thing.
Mexico and
Yeah,
Mexico City. They're
yeah, and there's
pretty
many
open
many
about that.
sightings. Yes,
Yeah,
and the thing is that the military don't go chasing them off like here in the U.S. See, so that's why there's so many more sightings in Mexico, especially Mexico City, because they know that nobody's going to chase them off. So
yeah. You
that's
mentioned chase them off. Do you think here in the United States, we hear this all the time about? Well, they call them the UAP now, and to me, and I don't like that
I
term.
don't like it
I'm
either.
old school UFO
Yeah,
because to
UFO.
me,
Yeah,
UFO to me is something from another galaxy, right?
yeah,
It's
exactly.
not our. I
Yeah.
think UAP is the
It's more
government's term.
man-made, more
It's UAP has something that we
yeah,
probably made,
yeah,
and I
exactly,
bet you that half of these you mentioned they chased them off. I'm willing to bet that half the things we're chasing off is our own craft that our government or our Air Force pilots or Navy pilots were made privilege of. Didn't even
right.
know.
Oh yeah,
Just like when you got that phony baloney about the Tic Tac.
yeah.
Yeah, these guys thought it was a UFO. Now, then they said it was. Then they said no, it was
It
ours.
was
See,
yeah,
here in the United States, man, it's one.
yeah.
It's you don't know who or what to believe. At
Right,
least in
exactly.
Mexico,
Yeah,
they're going to
yeah,
tell you straight up, "Hey, man,
yeah.
that wasn't. We
That
didn't make
was
that. That was
yeah,
definitely not from our country."
exactly. They'll straight up say it on live TV and the government, and including the president. Even the president of Mexico admits that there are UFOs. You know what I mean? That's the
Oh yeah.
president of Mexico.
Now, I do believe a lot of our former presidents believed in UFOs, and that's why when they went to investigate them and they asked,
Hmm.
the president of the United States is not privy to
Right.
what's in our black book, our blue book.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, they're not. No.
Isn't that? Don't you find that
Yeah,
if I'm the
yeah.
president of the
He
United
should
States,
be
I should be
included,
able to
right?
look at whatever I
Yes.
want to look at?
Yes, yes, exactly. Even if it's top secret, whatever, right?
You
Yeah.
know?
And they're not. They're not. Yeah, yeah. I think who was it? Reagan mentioned it.
Oh yeah.
Who else?
Oh,
Um, who was this? The guy that would. I can't remember the name right now, but the guy Clinton. Clinton.
oh yeah.
He mentioned it that he was going to look into it, and then he stopped for some reason, just completely dead stop, and didn't mention it again. I mean, there's a lot of presidents that tried to look into it,
Well,
but they were, pretty much
eh,
stopped.
yeah, and you even mentioned Ronald Reagan. Because I remember as a little kid, I did a book report. Ronald
Right.
Reagan was developing the Star Wars system. Now, the
Hmm.
Star Wars system, back when I was a kid growing up, the big threat was with the nuclear weaponry, right?
Hmm.
Because that was the big threat about having World War III with nuclear weapons. So it was presented to the United States that the Star Wars system was our tracking system where we could track if a missile was fired, that this system from outer space could immediately blow up the nuclear weapon that was sent, to start a war or to
Right.
eliminate our country, right?
Right.
But then you find when you dig deeper into it, there was also a second reason behind it. Ronald Reagan wanted it to protect the planet against the possible UFO or alien attacks,
Yeah.
to blow
Yeah.
these things out of the air if they were a threat to us. And a lot of
Threat,
people
yeah.
don't know that. I mean, a lot of
Mhm.
people that are into the subject probably know what I'm talking about.
Right.
But I always
Yeah.
found that to be so interesting, so
I
interesting.
think Ronald Reagan was big on UFO, investigation and trying to find out, research it and trying to find out how real these things are or whatever. Because he even had his famous speech that it would take the world to come together. It would take an exterior threat like aliens. Basically, that's what he was saying. You know which one I'm talking about, right?
Yes, I do.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So I think he really was into that, man, and he really did believe these things were real. Even though he had no actual proof or whatever.
Yeah.
You said.
And again, that's a shame that our own presidents can't have access to what the
Right.
CIA has and everybody else.
Right. Right. Exactly.
So that was your first experience in Mexico City.
Yeah, that was the first one. And if you ask me size, I can't really guesstimate what size it was because it was like I said, a football field away, so it's kind of close where you can see it, but kind of far where you can't tell the size of it. Especially nothing else being in the sky but that. You know what I'm saying? So I had no reference on how to judge the size of that thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm gonna move on to my second one.
Yeah.
Now my second one was completely different. Completely different. It was in the year 99 going on 2000. It was New Year's Eve, right? So we were receiving 2000, right? So it was basically December 31st, 1999. And this was the nighttime, we were waiting on the countdown. And I'm going to say this must have been before the countdown. It must have been like maybe 15, 20 minutes before the countdown. Okay. We were, obviously having a, end of the year party or whatever, in New Year's party. And me and my dad would go outside to smoke. We were all drinking, eating, everything, right? We were having a jolly good time. But me and my dad would go outside to smoke because we didn't want to smoke inside the house because there were so many people, whatever.
Yeah.
And so we were outside smoking, and there was like a little patio way, kind of, hallway in the patio, right? Because that's I don't know if you know this, but in Mexico, that's how they build the houses. They don't build them all in within the perimeter, and then just a yard outside. No, they use every square inch of the place to make a house, right?
Okay.
So sometimes what it is that you'll have a house, and like the very front, they make like a garage, but it's closed with the gate in the front, so nobody can get in. But the house is further back, right? So you got this, open patio, open to the sky, whatever, right? That's where they park the cars and all that stuff. Well, anyway, we were outside smoking, so we were looking up at the, at the night or whatever. I didn't see anything. My dad was the first one to see it. He was like, "Look, son," because he was really into paranormal and UFO things. We had long talks, me and him.
Okay.
Bless his heart, he passed away in 2021. Me and him had long talks, like, you know what, this could be this, and the aliens are real, and this and that. We had the same, mentality, me and him, towards this, topic.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we didn't see eye to eye with a bunch of other things, but not this. The cryptid and the paranormal and the scary and stuff like that. Yeah, he was all into that. So anyway, he looked up. He's like, "Hey, look, son." I thought he was just kind of pulling my finger or whatever, right? I'm like, "What, Dad?" What? And I was just kind of laughing like I didn't believe anything, right? And I turned around and looked. I was like, "Holy, you know what, man?" I was like, "Holy crap!" I saw it, dude. This one was way closer, Rob.
Oh,
this
man.
one was, man. This one, football field's not even half a football field, dude. He was up in the air. He was like maybe 40 yards up in the air, yeah. And there's a bunch of houses everywhere. Again, Mexico City,
Yeah. Was it circular, cylinder? What's that word? Like a circle, cylindrical?
Yeah, it was oval. Yeah, it was oval.
Yeah, okay, oval.
Yeah.
Okay.
And but this one, man, and this was at nighttime, Rob.
A lot of lights, right? Yeah.
Yes, bunch of lights, dude. Bunch of lights, all in the middle, though. Okay, so take like a disc, like a disc.
Yeah.
Kind of like a flattened football, right?
Yeah.
And all in the middle, put lights all around it, all the way around.
Okay.
Okay, and those lights, kind of like the movie. What is it? The third kind,
There,
Close Encounters of the
yeah,
Third Kind, yeah, with
yep,
Richard Dreyfuss.
yep.
Like that, remember how they were playing the music and they were
I
like, dun,
remember.
dun,
Yeah,
dun, 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 and the lights were dancing with the music. Well, it's kind of like that, but these were all going around the same way. Like they were going around like this, around the thing, and you can see every color in the spectrum, in the color spectrum. You can see yellow, red, blue, green, purple, white, and it goes back to the same colors, right? The base colors, I guess. And they were going all around. They were changing. Like, holy crap! They're like, and I told my dad, "Dad, you see the lights?" He's like, "Yeah." We didn't see any windows or anything like that because it was night, but we saw the lights.
yeah,
Like, holy crap! I thought right away. I said, "Man, I gotta get this. I gotta get this." And I ran inside to go get the good camera because this is, back when there wasn't the cell phones weren't that great yet. You know what I mean? 99
yeah,
going on 2000.
yeah.
So I had my good camera. I don't know, Nikon or Samsung or Sony or something like that, right?
Yeah.
So I went inside, grabbed it with the 35 millimeter thing, right? We still had those back then. Went inside, grabbed it, and when I came out, boom, it was gone.
Oh
And I'm
man,
like,
yeah.
where's and I went out, and I ran out like that. Nobody asked me what I was doing or whatever. I just went inside, got it from my luggage or whatever. Boom, got it ready, turned it on, boom, boom, boom. Ran outside ready to take a picture or whatever, right? And I asked my dad, I said, "Damn, Dad, what happened? Did it leave or what?" He's like, "Yeah, man." He said, "Son, it left like 2 seconds right before you came out." I'm like, God damn, no word. Oh, man, I wanted to have the $1 million picture right there.
Yeah,
Nighttime.
And I'm
Yeah.
wondering, did you ask your dad when it went away or took off? Did it
Yeah.
like zoom out like a speed of light, or just
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah. Yeah. He
like,
said it just zipped out like that. You just saw the light just take off. Like no thrust, no noise, no nothing. It was complete. Oh, that's another thing. It was completely silent. It was that close, and we can hear it completely silent. There was no buzzing. There was no, wind draft. There was no, like a helicopter where you could feel that wind draft or whatever.
yeah,
Nothing, like nothing. There was nothing. It was just there, just
and
silent.
a lot of people I've spoken with too, they'll mention if they've had a UFO sighting or encounter. That's
Mhm.
typically, they don't put off a lot of sound. Now there might
No,
be a lot of light, and in some cases there might be some wind, but typically they are quiet. I mean, if you were in your house and there was one over your house, you wouldn't know it unless you went outside, or unless the lights lit up your backyard, which on some occasions some people have told me that happened to them, where they'd
right.
have a UFO in the
And
sky above the home.
and I like to mention too, Rob, that this
Yeah,
was before the era of digital cameras. This wasn't a
yeah,
digital camera. This was analog, where you had to load the little cartridge, that little round cartridge. Before the digital cameras came out, little 35 millimeter, whatever you stick in there, load up, and so it was film. It was film.
mm,
So back then, I think this is what I come up with too. Back then, there's a lot more sightings back then because those were analog. They weren't digital yet. You know
yeah,
what I'm saying? So the
yeah,
digitals now have a harder time taking a picture of them because one, they distort your pixelation.
yes,
And if it's video, you'll see staticky, lines and stuff, kind of, buzz in, buzz out, whatever, because they got that type of, power or whatever you want to call it. You know what I mean?
well, usually, I guess their electromagnetic field or
Electromagnetic.
whatever.
Yeah. There you
Just
go.
like just like people in the field, you always
Hmm.
hear the blob squatch picture. How come you never get a clear picture of a
Right.
Sasquatch
Right. Well,
or whatever? And
I,
and UFOs because of our
right.
cameras. Sure, our cameras are great for taking still pictures of you and I or the
Hmm.
environment or a building
Hmm.
or an animal that's
Or
not
even,
moving.
or even a zoomed out picture or something. Yeah, they
It's
have
fun.
that now.
I was driving. I wasn't driving. I was a passenger. I was driving through the. I was coming home from a get together, and we had to drive through the woods on either side, and I had my phone on me because I was waiting for some animal to pop out alongside the from the tree line, and sure enough, there was a bunch of deer. So Carlito, no kidding, I'm taking pictures. Now, of course, I'm driving. My brother's driving maybe 30, 40 miles an hour, and I was kind of experimenting Not so much that I wanted pictures of the deer. I mean, I've got many pictures of deer, but I was just doing an experiment to take these pictures and see what they looked like when I opened up the camera of the phone. And do you know that if I took 10 pictures, that 7 out of 10 were blurry anyway? And I was taking my time. I wasn't nervous.
Yeah,
They weren't in full focus. Did it have something to do with traveling at 30 miles an hour? Probably. But you get the same thing if you're sitting down in a
yeah.
blind and you take a picture of a deer.
And if you notice too, Rob, I know you just mentioned it, but about the cryptids and but if you notice, they all can do that. Cryptids can do that too. If anybody out there doesn't know yet, cryptids can do that too. They can blur your pictures.
Oh,
They
they can
can
do it.
mess up your pixelation where you can't see it. It's distorted, whatever. Cryptids can do that too. And guess what? Paranormal activity can do that too. You've seen the videos, Rob, where they got like in a hospital and there's a being or something, a ghost basically,
Yep.
coming up towards the camera, and you see that staticky thing, whatever, like electromagnetic pulse kind of thing that messes up the footage, right? You've seen that. So paranormal activity does the same thing. So that's kind of that where I wonder, like, why are all these things related to where they can mess up, a video footage or a picture? You know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
Like,
and I was going to ask that question too in a minute, but and also the what was I going to say here? Well, moving on. Now, it'll come back to me in a minute.
yeah,
So I
sure.
was, but you just brought up something about. Do you think that the cryptids, paranormal, UFOs, do you think it's all tied in together, related to
Yes,
some degree?
yes, I do. I do. I do, especially cryptids and UFOs. Those are like the main ones that are tied in together, and they're all kind of they coincide because one, I think a certain theory of mine is that cryptids and UFOs have some type of connection because many sightings have either said that they've seen a UFO before or after their cryptid encounter. I'm pretty sure you know that now,
Yep.
by now. But
Oh yeah.
you know, there's been so many that like, I'm listening to to an encounter because I've listened to so many after all these
Mhm.
years. I can't even remember which ones are what, but I've listened to so many where they say, well, you know what, I did see like a UFO in the forest with the green light right before takeoff, right before I ran into this cryptid, you know, or right
Yeah.
after, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I think they are, and one of my theories is that cryptids are actually like alien pets that they either come down and bring them, with in their spacecraft or whatever, or they open some type of portal because they have the power to do that. Aliens, they open some type of portal, and these cryptids come out of that portal and go back into that portal. That's why they disappear.
Yeah, well, I think that I subscribe to all those theories. I think that they come through portals. I think they can't come from other galaxies. I'm not know if I'm going to say that. And as funny as this, what you just mentioned about pets of aliens, that's not too far fetched because I've heard that story before. And
Yeah.
Neil kind of read my mind when I was looking for what I was going to ask you.
Hmm.
Always the batteries, the draining of the batteries from your video
Yes, that's
recorder,
another thing.
your camera.
Yes.
I mean, this goes on countless
Yes.
amount of times. In fact,
Yes.
it goes on so much that I don't even bring it up anymore
Right.
because it's just something we all know. Hey,
Right.
Sir Brian's in the house.
Yeah,
What's
Sir
up, Mr.
Brian. Yeah, my
Mr.
brother.
Bowden? Yeah,
How's it
another
going,
great.
Brian? Thanks for coming, Brian. I invited him over. I shared it to
Oh yeah.
our group. Yeah.
No, I appreciate that. Well, you know a lot of heavy hitters, man. Sir Brian,
Yeah. Well, we got a private group that a
Yeah,
bunch of us
no.
are on there.
Well, I remember. In fact, it is the Cryptid and Paranormal Kingdom with
Hmm.
Carlito, and that's also with Tom Cardos too. Is that you guys have that together? In
Yeah.
fact, why don't you tell us because
Hmm.
we're running low on time. I want to hear your last UFO story.
Okay. Yeah.
Uh,
Sure.
why don't we get in that before? Where can we find you too as well? And we'll do it again at the end of the show.
Yeah. Sure. Well, y'all can find me on obviously Cryptid and Paranormal on Facebook. Cryptid and Paranormal. It's a private group. If you guys like to join there, it's fun. There's tons of stuff, paranormal, UFOs, everything, cryptids, everything. We cover everything. on YouTube. Y'all can go and answer a couple questions and ask to join the group. And then I got my YouTube channel, which is the same name,
Okay.
Cryptid and Paranormal Kingdom, in Facebook. And actually, I'd like to ask as a favor to all you guys out there in the chat, and Rob, I know Rob subscribed already, but if y'all can help me try to reach 1,000, because I'm at like 910 or something like that. I'm trying to reach 1,000, my first 1,000 subscribers. If y'all could help me out with that, man, I really, appreciate it.
Yeah, I was going to have you give me the link too today. I'll put that in definitely in the description. And if any of my mods out there have a free hand to drop Carlito's link,
Yeah, thank
go
you.
ahead and do that. And of course, I'll put it in the description of this show as well. So
Right.
I'll let them kind of fiddle with that. In the meantime,
Yeah.
why don't you tell us about this other UFO encounter that you came across?
Okay, yeah, I just kind of wanted to finish off the thing where you asked me where they can find me.
Yeah.
They can also find me on Facebook as well. It's the group for it's for Dogman. What is it? NADP, North American Dogman Project, Region 4. I'm the director for that. There's only 5 regions. Y'all can find me there too. It's also a group on Facebook. Y'all can look that up. And also you can find me on Instagram as Cryptid and Paranormal Kingdom, with all underscore dashes underneath each word. And basically that's it.
At the end of the show, too, send me all your links and I'll post them for you.
Yeah, sure.
Because a lot of people are going to watch this after. I got a lot of people will watch after for sure over the next couple of days.
All right. Okay, so now I'll move on to my third and last UFO encounter. So this one was actually in Texas, right, where I live. This was back in 2013. So they were kind of all like 10 years apart, if you notice the pattern.
I did, yep.
Yeah. So this was in 2013, which is kind of amazing to me. Like, how, why, why every 10 years? So anyway, I was working at a refinery plant, right? And I was working maintenance job where it's only Monday through Friday, 50 hours a week, 10 hours a day, whatever. And one day we were finishing up the day. We were riding in the back of our company truck because some guys rode up in the front, some guys rode in the back, right? At the end of the day, when we're putting up and going back towards the little company shack, and from there, we'd walk out to our cars and to go home, right? Whatever. So we were driving towards our little company shack or whatever from whatever unit we were in within the refinery, right? We were driving out, and all of a sudden, we were just kind of BSing. All me and my co-workers, it was like maybe 4 or 5 of us in the back of the truck in the bed, and there was probably like 2 or 3 up in the front, right? So we were, and I was on the bed of the truck. I was on the far end of the truck, which is where you bring the gate down, right? Mm-hmm. I was up against that, like kind of in the corner or whatever, right? So I was looking towards the front of the truck or whatever. This is like a regular, Ford pickup truck, whatever, single cab. And so one of the guys that was facing me, or facing backwards behind me or whatever, we were all kind of just BSing and talking about grabbing a beer after work or whatever, go catch a movie or get some pizza for the kids or whatever, right? And we're just BSing, and then all of a sudden we were talking, and one of the guys stopped everybody and said, "Hey, wait, hey, look." And we all stopped on the dime. We didn't even ask him why, because we thought it might have been like maybe one of the tanks that was on fire or something, because you're in a refinery, you know what I'm saying? You got to be, with your head on the swivel, right? So anyway, we turned around real fast and look, whatever. Boom, I saw it. Everybody saw it. It was 4 or 5 of us. And I still asked them guys, "Do you remember?" They're like, "Yeah, I remember, bro." Well, anyway, this was 2013. That was 10 years ago. Yeah, 10 years ago. And I still talk to some of them guys still, and I asked them, "Do you remember seeing that?" They're like, "Yeah, I remember." Well, anyway, when he said, "Look," we all turned around, look. We saw it for about, I'm gonna say maybe 3 or 4 seconds at the most, right? And we seen it, and this thing was again shiny, cylindrical. Well, not cylindrical because that's like a cigarette, but more like an oval shape, kind of like an almond, I guess you could say, kind of,
Okay. Yeah.
right? Okay, and we saw it, and this one was the furthest away out of all of them, Rob. This one had to be out maybe, I'm gonna say 2 miles up in the air, bro, and far away, like 2 miles, because that one was far. We barely
Okay.
saw it, like just barely, like it was. We could see it like real little, but we saw it. And this one, I actually seen it zoom out, just like in the videos. That's why I believe the videos that look real, and I think they're real, is because I've seen it exact same movement. This thing must have been going like Mach 20, dude. It's just boom, like that. Just
Wow.
you didn't see my hand, like that. Like you couldn't even see it when it took off. You know what I'm saying? Like it was here, and then next thing you know, it was like way over here. Like by the time you followed it and looked at it, it was like 5 miles out already, dude. Like, and it just kept getting smaller and smaller and smaller, like going away. So I'm like, man, that thing must have gone, super fast. I'm gonna say like Mach 10, dude, or Mach 20.
But you have the visual of this
But I
as
had the visual
getting
as it was
further
moving.
and further away. You're
Yes.
seeing it, and you know that it's
Yes.
going at a high
It
rate
was
of
moving.
speed.
Yes,
But it's
exactly.
still not a blur. I mean, you just see
No,
it getting
no, you can see it
smaller and smaller.
Yeah, you can see it. Kind of like a zip line, where the people, they kind of like.
Oh yeah, yeah, I
Kind
got
of
you.
like that. Yeah.
Now there were lights on this one as well. I
No.
know it was after work. Was it dark?
No. It was
It was
during the
during
day.
the day,
Yeah,
yeah,
it was. It must have been like 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. There was still sun and whatever, but it's kind of going down or whatever, like that. And we saw this thing and it just zoof. We're like, holy! Everybody said, holy crap! It just left everybody with their mouths open, right? Like, dude, you see that? Yeah, I saw it, man. God, man, that's crazy. That had to been a UFO. Yeah, it had to be, man. It had to be. So we all, agreed that it was a UFO, and we were like, damn, we got to see it. We just felt so lucky that we got to see it, just sitting there. And I think, Rob, and I've told this, on other interviews before, speaking about this encounter, that or sighting, I should say, that I think these things can actually hear you, man. No matter how far they are, like them that we turn around and looked, oh man, look, boom, it was gone. And the one with my dad too, oh man, look, whatever. I think he was hearing us, and I think he might have even read my mind that I was gonna go get the camera or something, something. But I think they can hear you, man. And
So when you say hear what you're talking about?
yes,
Okay.
yes, they can hear what you're talking about. Oh, when you're pointing at them and whatever, and they can pick up on that, man. And when they see that somebody notices them or whatever, and they try to they know the intentions that you're trying to get a picture or whatever. Boom, they're gone. And like I said, I think these things really can hear you, and I think that they can actually have like some type of telescopic antenna and something that they can hear in your conversation, bro.
I got to tell you something.
You know.
This is fascinating because just last week, Thursday, on the daytime show, I had a guy on. We were talking UFOs. And what he had said, he's been researching and looking for UFOs for like the last decade. And what he does is he uses all the old cell phones. You know how we were talking about the old cell phones, the analog cell phones.
The analog, yes.
He's got those, and he uses those. He's got them set up where they take pictures right out of his backyard. But one of the things that he mentioned that you've just mentioned just now, which just really resonates with me, is the fact that he will go out there, him and his wife. They'll pull out a couple lawn chairs. They'll get a cocktail. They'll kick back. They'll do some sky watching. And what he was telling me was this. And on this guy's YouTube channel, he's got some video of some cool stuff, which I had looked at. And what he does is he communicates, talks out loud, verbally. I'm here, waiting on you.
Wow.
And he says that verbally. And him and his wife also, they meditate. And they put thoughts out into the universe, positive energy.
Right.
We'd like to have an experience.
Wow.
And he's telling this guy's telling me
that makes total sense.
That's
man.
how he's captured a lot of his captures.
Because
now, the average person is going to say, all right, whatever. Well, I tell you what, I've been doing this long enough
Yeah.
I know when someone's giving me a line of crap and where they're making stuff up. And I
Right.
also look some things up, and I tell you what, that's what that C5, if anyone subscribes to um, Stephen Greer, just about the telepathy,
Hmm.
I tell you, there's something to all
Yeah.
of this
And
stuff.
that's exactly where I was going to with this right now. I was fixing to say that I can even almost say that they read your thoughts, man. You know, that much, because there ain't no way they can really hear you that far, but whatever, right? But I'm thinking that they can read your thoughts, man. And like Brian just said right now, they can hear you, but in your consciousness, but not your voice. See, so that makes total sense. What we are just talking about.
Yeah.
Thank you, Brian. By the way.
Yeah, thanks for joining, Brian. It's I guess it's that frequency they can pick up
Yeah.
on. We don't know. Their technology is so
Yeah,
superior.
so advanced that we
And
don't
it's
even
not
know how they're doing it, right? We
and
can't
it's not
comprehend.
no, it's technology of some sort. It's not paranormal. I mean, you could
Right, right,
paranormal is something that's different, right? This I
right,
guess you could classify, but to me
right.
it's they're these advanced civilizations, right?
Yes, yes,
And I
exactly.
believe in it. And again, I just started taking up I've been trying to learn. I'm teaching myself, right, how to like astral project or how to, just travel, have that out of body experience, which I kind of half-ass am getting it because I've been trying this for so long. I was sitting in a chair and I got this meditation I've been doing nothing, nothing, and nothing. Then all of a sudden one night I felt really weird and I was crawling. I was in a chair, and for whatever reason, Carlito, I got out of this chair that I've been
Right,
practicing for months now.
right.
I should probably get a hold of somebody who knows what they're doing because good old BMR does not.
You know what? I was fixing to
And,
say
and
you should contact Brian. He knows all
you know,
about that, man.
but here's the thing.
Astral projection.
Yeah,
He can
I'm
help you out with
sitting
that.
there and and I think I partially did something because before you know it, and I don't know why, but I'm crawling down.
Hmm.
I get out of my chair and I'm crawling down my hallway.
Mm,
Okay.
right.
But I feel different about this because I can feel my physical body. I can literally feel my knees on the carpet, my hands on the carpet, and I know I'm moving for whatever. I don't know why I'm doing this.
Hmm.
But then I looked over my right shoulder and it really spooked the hell out of me because when I looked back into the chair that I was sitting in doing this meditation, I
Hmm.
saw my body in the chair, yet I'm physically crawling away from the
Right,
chair down the
right,
hallway.
right, right.
I immediately freaked out and I'm shaking
Yeah.
my head. Whoa, what is this? And, okay, now I'm back to reality, I
Yes.
guess, right?
Yes. Yes.
But
Yes.
I've been
Yes.
known to have this sleep paralysis, which is a whole different ballgame. This definitely was not that because it's sleep paralysis. I can't move, I can't talk, I can't do anything,
Right.
But this, I was physically moving, and
Yes.
I felt like I wasn't there yet. I was, and I was
Right.
sitting in the chair, but I'm crawling. So I
Right.
saw. So it was just the weirdest experience of my life,
Right.
which I have to investigate this a little further.
Right. Yes, absolutely. And like Brian just said, he said you should do a show with him, and he can teach you all about
Yeah.
remote viewing. You know what I
Well,
mean?
I do have Brian coming on in October. I don't know if we'll do it
Awesome.
that day, but Brian and our pals. Brian, I'll
Awesome.
definitely get a hold of you.
Oh
We
yeah.
can talk offline about it because I
Oh
tell
yeah.
you what, I scared the shit out of myself.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
Then I said, I don't know what I'm doing.
And I want to tell you something very similar that happened to me, Rob. This is back like in 1991 or 92. I was a teen. I was listening to music with my headphones, right? And I was just kind of just kind of vibing. I guess that's what they call it now,
Yeah.
vibing, right?
Okay.
Okay, well, but I was laying down on a bed. I was vibing, and I don't know how this happened. I think it was a frequency that I accidentally touched, that I felt and I saw myself come out of my body and look at myself in the bed, turn around and look at myself in the bed while listening to music and all this stuff. Like I felt an out of body experience, bro.
Oh man,
Right?
yeah.
And it was scary as hell. Because when
Hmm.
I saw that and I noticed and I realized that's what was happening, that I wasn't in my body anymore, like, wait a minute, I'm out of my freaking body, right? Scared the crap out of me. And I was like, no, I gotta go back. I thought I was dying for a second, man. I thought my body was leaving my soul was leaving my body, and I was dying out of nowhere or whatever, right? I was like, no, I can't go, I can't die, I can't. And I got scared, I panicked, and I said, I gotta go back to my body, And all of a sudden, boom, I got back to my body. But guess what? When I got back to my body, I felt my whole body numb. You know how when you get the little ant feeling on your thing?
Yeah.
It was my whole body.
Yeah, like it's kind of.
Yeah, it was just numb, like asleep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Your arm goes to sleep.
We all say falls asleep.
Yeah, there you go. Like that. That's how I felt. And that scared the crap out of me. And it was that one time that happened. No.
I got to tell you, man, I had sleep paralysis. That's scary. That is very scary. I haven't had that in a long time. Mm-hmm. But I tell you, that was very scary.
Yeah.
This, though, I really was very scared because I felt I had no control of my body. Even though during sleep paralysis, I'm paralyzed, though. I'm wide awake. I can't move my head. I can move my eyes, and I can't scream. I can't yell out. I can't do nothing. Mm-hmm. And I just kind of start shaking my head. Mm-hmm. At one time, I said, "The Our Father," right. And then I snapped out of it. But yet, I know I'm awake. Right. But this thing that I did, I was very scared because I had no control of where I was going. I felt that I was getting close, but I really got scared. I said, "No way, Rob, you got to turn back because I don't know what dimension I might have been going to if I was going to a different dimension or realm. I don't know, man." So I got scared, man. So I said, "Nope." Try to shut it down. Yeah. And I don't know what I did to shut it down, but I did.
Yeah, exactly. And I think what it was is that we accidentally tapped into this, frequency or realm or whatever accidentally, and it scared the crap out of us, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. I tell you what, it did. And I got to tell you, man, this show has flown by. We're almost going up on 2 hours now.
Yeah, yes.
And man, you discussed cryptids, paranormal, UFOs. Yeah. Fantastic show, Carly. I'm glad we finally got a chance to meet and hook up. I'll put all the links for your shows in my
Thank you. I've seen that.
One more time, though, for those that you missed. So go ahead and do it again before we say goodnight, because I had a couple messages before I leave.
Yeah, sure. No problem, man. You guys can find me at Cryptid and Paranormal Kingdom with Carlito and Tom on Facebook. You can also find me on YouTube, same name, Cryptid and Paranormal Kingdom only on YouTube. And like I mentioned before, I'm trying to get to my first 1,000 subscriber, guys. If you guys can help me out with that, man, I'm like at 910 or something like that. So it's got a little bit more to go. But it would be greatly appreciated if y'all do. And drop me a like or a comment or whatever. Thank you guys for that ahead of time. And also you can find me on Instagram. Same name, Cryptid and Paranormal Kingdom, but with underscore dashes under each word. Basically, that's it. And you guys can find me on Facebook group NADP Region 4, which is North American Dogman Project.
North American Dogman Project, Region 4,
yeah. And you guys can, join that group as well. We have tons of Dogman stuff, related stuff on there. So, yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So and Carlito, please do me a favor later on today. Just drop me your links. I'll make sure I get those out as well because I know people are going to watch this the rest of the week for sure.
Right.
And
thank you, Rob. I appreciate that.
No problem. I want to thank Pancho and Anella for your super chats. I want to thank all the new people that have come in because thank you, Carlito, to you because I think that a lot of your followers came on over today earlier. So don't forget to subscribe to Bigfoot Mystery Rob on YouTube. I'm on 9:00 at night. On Tuesday, Thursday afternoon at 1. My new book's out, Bigfoot Mystery Rob Presents True Cryptid Encounters. It's on Amazon. You can look it up there. You can also find a link on my channel. And Carlito, man, I got to tell you, I do definitely want to have you back. We could have went on for another hour, my friend.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, brother.
Yep. So, again, man, thank you so much. Thanks, everybody in chat. Thanks, everybody who's going to listen later.
Welcome,
for Carlito, I am BMR. Until next time, have a great night. Peace.